welcome to the Red Wagon Estate Planning and Elder Law Show, hosted by me, yours truly, Jeffrey Belomo, where we discuss all things estate planning and elder law. And, well, hey, anything else we want to talk about. Now, today, I'd say this is going to fall under estate planning and elder law because it's talking about as we grow, what do we do in the future? So I really think that this is going to be a perfect fit right into the estate planning and elder law. But hey, if not, it'll fall under the category of anything else we want to talk about. I have a dear friend of mine here today, Melissa Ressler with Lancaster Downtowners. Melissa, how are you doing?
Oh, I am great today, Jeff. Thank you for welcoming me here.
I've been looking forward to this podcast for a long time. I've known you for several years and just so impressed with what you guys are doing and how you're doing it. And so it's going to be great to finally get you on the podcast and have a great conversation. Before we get to that, I want to do the legal disclaimers because I am a lawyer after all. Just a reminder to all my listeners, please do not take anything that you hear on this show or any other show for that matter to constitute legal advice. If you are looking for legal advice specific to a situation, please contact an attorney in the area where you reside who practices in the area that you are looking for advice in, and meet with them one-on-one and discuss the facts of your situation, and then and only then shall you have an attorney-client relationship and should look at that information as legal advice. This show and any other show is intended for informational, entertainment, and educational purposes only, and if you would like any follow-up, please reach out to us at Belomo & Associates at 717-845-5390, or Melissa will give her information as well at the end, and you'll be able to contact her specifically if you're looking for more information about villages or Lancaster Downtowners. I think that's it for all of the background information. So, Melissa, tell us a little bit about Lancaster Downtowners and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So Lancaster Downtowners is what's known as a village model nonprofit, and we are one of over 300 villages all across the country. And what we are all striving to do is provide a grassroots, person-directed solution to aging in community. And so we're focused on the neighbors who have lived on your blocks and in your neighborhoods for decades and want to stay there and know that they want support from the community and from one another to do so. And so our village does that in a number of different ways. We currently support about 260 people in and near the city of Lancaster.
Holy cow. All right. So for someone like me who's a layperson, I'm Jeff, and I live in the community, so what does that look like for me? What does that mean?
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like anything. It
Okay.
can be someone living in a row home. It can be someone who is living in an apartment, someone who's moved into a condo. That's what most of the Lancaster Downtowners is made up of. But we also have folks who live a little bit further out in the suburbs, maybe have a little bit of land that they're taking care of. But really what it means is someone that is sort of living in their own space, has not elected to move into a continuing care or life plan community.
All right, I got it. Now I see the connection. Perfect.
Yeah.
Very good. And is there assistance that's provided similar to if I went to assisted living or to a CCRC or something like that?
Yeah, a village does not provide the full scope that you would get at a CCRC or a life plan community, but what we do provide is support with everyday tasks, and so we do it in three different ways. The main thing that we're trying to do is we're trying to build a community of social connections, and so we have programs, events, support groups, walking groups. Jeff, you've come and spoken to our Solo Agers group before. It's a group that meets once a month. It's folks who are making decisions on their own, and they're asking one another questions about how to do that. So we provide that. We provide the social connections, which lately has been really great for folks who are actually moving to Lancaster. Lancaster's been recognized as one of the top 5 places to retire year over for the last few years. So we've got folks coming in from New Jersey, DC, New York, Florida, and they want to get the lay of the land. And so they connect in that way. This way that we also provide supports is through what we call our Just One Call program. And so that is our volunteer connection program. And so that's when we get, kind of in the down and dirty help with folks. We provide a lot of transportation to medical appointments, to the grocery store, to the train station. We also do technology coaching and assistance. So when your printer is not communicating with your laptop, which happens in my office every month, we have folks who are trained to go out and do that, or help someone get their new smartphone set up, or figure out streaming for their TV. We do that. We also do simple home maintenance, yard work, snow shoveling, help going through paperwork, and we have a program of specially trained volunteers that will go with someone to a doctor's appointment and take notes to make sure that all of their questions are answered. So these are not advocates, they're not out there saying, take this medication. It's just a second pair of ears. And when someone has a new referral or a new diagnosis, or it's just really helpful, we find, to have that and to know there's someone that they can call that is trained and ready and wanting to do that.
Wow, yeah. I mean, I have a hard time when I'm at a doctor's appointment, and especially when something is said that you're not expecting, to process it and to hear it and to go home and relay it to my wife. I'm like, I don't know what he said.
Yep, exactly.
So just to have another set of ears would be huge.
Yeah.
Wow. How do people learn about this situation? I mean, it's not something that I think until I had come and learned about you that I even knew it existed.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and most people learn probably the way you did, word of mouth. Somebody probably says, hey, have you heard about this group called the Downtowners? And most of our growing has been through word of mouth. Over the last few years, we've tried really hard to partner with other organizations, work with our county office of aging, kind of get out in the community to the rec centers, to the senior centers, and let people know we're there. But we also, some folks will find us because we are connected to that broader community of villages across the country. That's the Village to Village network. So if folks are listening from outside of Lancaster County, from outside of our reach, you can go to that Village to Village network website and see if there's a village near you that provides support and connection in the same way that we do.
And are there several villages in the state of Pennsylvania?
There are, I want to say about 8 villages in the state of
many?
Pennsylvania. There are, yes. And the newest village just celebrated, I believe, their 1-year anniversary over in York. So we have the York County Village. Many of the other villages are in neighborhoods in Philly. There's quite a few villages over in Philly, not so much in the western part of the state, but you're probably covered in eastern Pennsylvania.
Wow. And I'm sure to the western side it's coming in the future at some point, I am sure.
Yeah.
That is cool. Now, if somebody wants to become, do you call them members, or what's the word that you use? Or
Yeah, we use members. We are a membership-based organization, and so folks pay dues on an annual basis, and we tier them by income. We really want this to be as accessible as possible, and so folks will pay dues. It comes out to, at the highest rate, $15 a month. We have some that are free and some that are $8 a month for membership in the village. So you fill out an application on our website or give our office a call, and we make sure that we can, really fit what you're looking for. Sometimes the support that we can provide or the scope of our volunteers isn't a good match. We're great for short-term things like, bringing meals to someone after they're discharged from rehab. But if you're looking for meals every day, then we're going to help you get connected with Meals on Wheels. There are just, organizations that are already doing that better. And that's part of our role, too, to make sure that our members know what's out there and where they can get services to help them stay in their homes and stay contributing to their communities.
do you happen to know how this got started? Like, did somebody wake up one day and just have this idea? I'm just curious if you happen to know how that started.
Yeah. So, like all good ideas, there's somebody with a spark, and then you bring in all of the other opinions. You see what's going on, and that's how it started in Lancaster. So there was a group of folks who were actually meeting in a Sunday school class, and they wanted to talk about getting older and what what does that look like? Not a topic that a lot of people want to talk about.
Right.
But I mean, you and I are okay with it. The folks we hang out with are, but so they actually started this conversation in 2003. And at that time, they were looking at, Lancaster County is flush with retirement communities. We've got a lot of different options. You can get whatever you want, but they were thinking that might not be for me, but I know I'm going to need help beyond what my family can provide, or what I'm looking for. So what would it look like if I moved into the city of Lancaster and created supports that I would need? They weren't the only ones having this conversation across the country. And there was a group in Boston, Beacon Hill Village. They named themselves the first village, having conversations about the same time. And they got themselves together pretty quickly, and were they knew enough to put together a manual for how to do this. And so they had a New York Times feature, and folks in Lancaster read that and said, this is what we're trying to do. And so they, wrote to the Beacon Hill Village, bought the manual, and then incorporated as a nonprofit in 2008. And since then, they started kind of building out those, programs, events, started with that, kind of building the community. They moved into adding those just one call services. So that came next, the kind of volunteer basis. And something else that they've maintained throughout is a recommended service provider directory. And so that is, you have to have been used by a member and they have to have liked you to get into the directory. It's a little bit more strict than Nextdoor or Angie's List.
Right.
So this was one of those other tenants. And so they were facilitating that. And from 2003 until 2018, all of this was done by volunteers. Completely volunteer run and managed. And we are lucky enough to still have some of those founders involved in our committees, involved in planning our programs and things like that. So I came on board in 2018 as a part-time executive director, and here we go.
Yeah. And now you're full-time, I believe, or?
I'm getting there, yeah.
Yes, I thought you were
We
headed
do
in
have
that
that,
direction.
yeah. We have an administrative assistant now too, to help kind of share that load. So we've had a lot of growth. It's been fantastic. Once people hear about a village and what we do, it's a great idea. It just it's an easier way to help neighbors support neighbors. That's what people in Lancaster want to do anyway. And so it just makes it easy to plug in, and it gives this added focus for folks in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Wow. And Lancaster, it sounds like then was one of the first. I mean, I realize Boston set the manual, but it sounds like they were kind of one of the original ones.
Yes, yeah, we were very, very early on in the movement, which is very exciting to be a part of that.
Heck yeah. And you said they brought one over to New York about a year ago, so that's very cool
Yes.
as well.
Yeah, we
Nice.
love seeing that grow.
So this is a little bit of a crazy question. Like, from the outside, do you have like a success story? Like, I know we talk about success stories for clients who were able to help. I mean, obviously no names, but is there something that kind of resonates with you of, oh yeah, we were able to help this consumer or this client, and this is what happened, to give somebody a practical, real life, this is the kind of things that we're able to support?
Yes. There are multiple members, even active now and in previous years, that have chosen or needed to give up their vehicles. And they have been able to maintain living in their homes because of support provided by Just One Call. Weekly grocery shopping trips, all the doctor's appointments, all of those things our volunteers are help supporting. Going to the bank, those errands that you can't just do. And they've told me I can only do this because I have Downtowners. And when you see it's so meaningful. And our volunteers love driving too. connecting with people in that way. It's a really nice gig for an introvert who still wants to meet new people, because it, provides, you provide some time together, you get to know a person, you have a purpose, there's something there. And so we find a lot of our volunteers connecting in that way, building relationships, actively serving. And then other folks are building relationships, going to happy hour, and that's great too. We've got a place for everybody to connect in. But yeah, we've been able to see anecdotally those just stories of people being able to continue to live where they want to live in the way they want to, and just that empowerment that you want to see.
So are the volunteers typically people who are in the community, or not necessarily? They're people from outside the community just offering to volunteer to help out?
Yeah. In our village, they are almost all also members. Which is, it's that great, like, pay it forward.
Yeah.
You don't have to volunteer to be a part of it, but a lot of people like to, and they like to know that, yeah, I'm going to do this now, and then when I need help with something else, someone else is going to help me. It's that real kind of circle of giving back. So most of our volunteers are also members, and that is just another great way to build those connections, because you might get to know someone through book club, and then they're the person who's taking it to the train station, and it can really help build connections in really positive ways.
Oh, that is so cool. And how about you, Melissa? How did you get involved with Lancaster Downtowners? I mean, you wake up one day and say, this is what I want to do, or how did you get involved
I
in it?
know, right? It's funny how life works.
Yes.
You just got to be open to it. I studied therapeutic recreation and gerontology for my undergrad, and I remember reading about Beacon Hill Village and hearing about this thing that was happening when I was still in college. I did not imagine myself, getting into village work, we'll say, but started with. I was a case manager at Philadelphia Corporation for Aging, and kind of got my feet wet, providing waiver care management services there in Philly. Found myself moving to Lancaster for family in 2010, and took a little waylay into working with folks with intellectual and developmental disabilities, doing job coaching. But it was another way to, let's make sure that people are having purpose and care and community in their neighborhoods, in their work, finding that fulfillment. And then part of my role, because I was doing job training, was looking to see what jobs are available out there. Checking Indeed, checking Craigslist at that time, looking to see what was there for the clients that I was working with. And I saw that Downtowners was hiring for their first executive director. I thought, yeah, let's do it. Let's see what this is. And so it was great timing for me and for my family, and has really, some of the things that I love about it is the ability to build those really meaningful one-on-one relationships and connections with members, because they're doing a lot of the work too. They're on the committees, making the decisions, making the plans, build up some really good relationships, and then I can be with them and know them well when changes come up or something needs to happen. But we're also able to look a little bit bigger picture too, and look at some of the challenges that are out there, some of the great things that are out there when it comes to aging and aging services. This has given us the opportunity to work with the city of Lancaster on some age-friendly Lancaster City initiatives, and help shape some city focus on pedestrian safety through their Vision Zero program, looking at their looking at their comprehensive housing plan and some of those things, bringing an older person lens into all of that. So I get to do a little bit of everything. It's busy.
That's yeah. As we're talking, I'm like, I don't know how you do all of this, but it sounds so rewarding, though. Like every time I talk to you or I'm with the group, I always think, wow, what an amazing organization. So, do the members have to be in the city of Lancaster? Like, are there restrictions as far as where it goes?
Yeah. So we our bylaws limit us to Lancaster County.
Lancaster
So
County.
that's pretty
Okay.
broad.
Very broad.
However, our concentration is in I call it the Lancaster metropolitan area.
Okay.
So we have most of our volunteers and members are in the city, Lancaster Township, Manheim Township, but we have folks who used to live in the city or used to work in the city and now they live in Coreyville or
Okay.
Landisville or something like that. And so they're still members. Even some of our folks who have chosen to move to a retirement community maintain their connection to downtowners for those social connections, for that community that's there. You know, they may not need someone to take them to the doctor anymore because that's provided, you know, by where they live, but they still really like the book club. They still really want to go to the rail trail or something like that. And so we are usually the best fit for someone in and near the city. But
Okay.
for folks that are a little bit further out, I like to talk with them kind of about their intentions and their reasons for wanting to be involved. I can't guarantee that I can get someone to shovel your snow in Ephrata when most of our volunteers are in the city. So, you know, we need to talk about what that looks like. But if someone wants to come down for the gardening group or for the coffee clatch or lunch bunch and wants to connect in that way, we're a good fit there always.
Wow, that sounds fascinating. Now, is the village network across the country? I think you said there were like 300 or so.
Yeah.
Is it a pretty tight community throughout the country that you stay in touch with the other executive directors, or?
Yeah, well, all of those villages are also just as busy as we are. So I would love to connect with the other executive directors and board chairs and things like that more. One of the ways that we are able to really connect together, though, is we have you know, essentially an email forum that we ask other villages questions. If we're looking at, you know, when we wanted to do the note-taking program during the doctor's visits, we were able to reach out to another village that we knew had done that, look at their training, look at how they were implementing it. It is such a cooperative and collaborative network to be able to communicate back and forth with. And through the network, we're able to access folks pretty easily, and they'll facilitate you know, webinars that we'll get on together. There's an annual conference I always love to go to and see what other villages are doing. There's you know, a popular adage that says, you know, if you've seen one village, you've seen one village. We all do things a little differently because we were all started by volunteers meeting the needs of a very specific community, and so we do take on those different flavors and those different methods. But to be connected to people who are looking for solutions and really seeing the value of a supportive community and of the contributions of members throughout retirement, it's a cool place to be connected to.
Wow. And if I'm a listener hearing this and I'm interested in becoming a member, where would I go? Who would I call? What would I do?
Yeah, so you can go to our website. It's www.lancasterdowntowners.org. We are on Facebook. You can search up Lancaster Downtowners there and find us there. We have one of our members runs our Facebook page. He does a wonderful Downtowner About Town post, keeps everybody up to date on what's happening. If you'd rather give me a call, my office number is 717-584-1224. We're always happy to chat retirement in Lancaster.
And are all of the names different? Like they're not all downtowners. Like I think you said Beacon Village. So I assume they're all different.
All different, yes. I believe that we are the only downtowners.
That's cool.
I don't think there's a downtowner anywhere else. And the story that I love about that name, this will be for Lancaster local folks, is that when they were talking about incorporating, becoming a nonprofit, it's okay. We have to call ourselves something.
Right.
They did not want to use village in the name like the other organizations because they didn't want to be confused with the Village nightclub that was downtown in Lancaster City.
Wow.
So, here we are, the Downtowners, and it's perfect.
I love that. That is such a cool story. Oh, wow. Very cool. Is there anything else about that you want to add? Anything you're like, oh, I forgot to mention, or anything you want to say about the Downtowners or the village communities?
Yeah. I don't know. I guess that, this is the world that I want to live in. This is what I aspire to be surrounded by a community like this that is having fun together, serving the community together, helping out one another. It is pretty large at this point, but a large family feel, and just to be able to find your place in that, I think it's a really special way to provide support in a changing landscape. Aging looks different than it did in previous years. We're living longer, which is great. We're also living further away from our family, which sometimes is great, and sometimes it can provide challenges. And you can't always guarantee that. So it's really creatively looking at how can we live life in the best way. So if anybody has a village near you, I just encourage you to check it out. Check it out as a volunteer. Check out a social event. You're going to find some of the most engaging people with the best stories to tell. It's a beautiful group.
That's amazing. That is incredible. Well, thank you so much. Like I said, I love getting to know you guys and what you're doing, and it's so cool. I mean, it's just so impressive. Such a tight-knit group. That is the one thing I'll tell you. I do a lot of community events, and every time I leave speaking to you guys, I always think, wow, now that's a close-knit group. I mean, they definitely are there for each other, and what a cool experience. And as an elder law attorney, a lot of people will say to me, I am going to stay in my home. I am going to pass away in my home. That's where I'm going to be. And that's great, but what about going to doctor's appointments, meals, shoveling, the little things that I think a lot of us take for granted, particularly if we're living in the metropolitan area. I'll use the words that you said, and you do get to a point where you need someone. If there's even if there is family around, sometimes they're busy too, so it's great to have your own social network and your own relationships and things. So what a great solution, and at a very reasonable membership. I mean, that's incredible as far as what you're doing there and basing it on income and things. So definitely check out my friends at the Lancaster Downtowners and check out a village near you to see if it's a fit for you and your family. I think it's a great alternative, a great solution for not a problem, but what people want to do is stay home, and this is definitely a way to do that in a responsible and safe manner. So, wow. Thank you so much, Melissa, for being with us today. I'd like to thank the listeners of the Red Wagon Estate Planning and Elder Law Show for being here today. Please, one more time, could you tell us how we could find you on the web or give you a phone call?
Yes, you can find us at www.lancasterdowntowners.org, on Facebook, or at 717-584-1224. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Melissa. And again, this is Jeff Belomo with Belomo and Associates. Just to spell that for my listeners, it's Belomo, B as in boy, ELLOMO. And we are at 717-845-5390, or on the web at www.belomoassociates.com. And if you're looking for information in regards to estate planning and elder law, we offer free educational workshops on a weekly basis in the areas of pre-planning, crisis Medicaid planning, life care planning, special needs planning, as well as in administration after a loved one passes. If you need education in any of those areas, give us a call or check us out on the web, and we would be more than happy to help you. So thanks again to my guest, the Executive Director at Lancaster Downtowners, Melissa Ressler. Melissa, thanks for being with us today. To my listeners, thank you for being with us on the Red Wagon Estate Planning and Elder Law Show. And until next time, we'll see you real soon.